Welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. This is for entertainment purpose only. Please like, share and subscribe. This is the case of 45-year-old Nicola Bulley, who was reported missing on the 27th of January. She was last seen near the river Torpart at 9:15. The timelines and locations have been keeping on changing since day one. And that is what I'm trying to actually find out, what the correct timelining was. Because the golden hours is the first couple of hours when somebody is reported missing. And the longer the person is missing, the more likely timelines will be changed. Witnesses wouldn't recall everything they saw. I wanted to show you all what the reporter from Lancashire local news or local newspaper said. Welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. Please like, share and subscribe. This is for entertainment purpose only. This is the case of Nicola Bulley, who was reported missing on the 27th of January. The police's hypothesis and theory was that she fell in the river. When there's no evidence to back it up, we're aware that the CCTV footages aren't working in Garston Road towards the river Torpart. And I showed you all a clip from this morning, ITV News, where the reporter clearly said that the CCTV cameras or the dash cameras behind the camping site or the camping park site is not working or wasn't working that day. Although the superintendents, both of us, assured us that the camping site owners, that would be Penny, have been very cooperative. They've been very cooperative with the police. Please pay attention to what the reporter Nicola from Lancashire says over here.
That it's based on that. There's no way she could have left the area. And there's obviously, it was mentioned yesterday, there's this missing 10 minutes of time that they haven't quite accounted for, but it's such a short period of time. It's difficult to understand how anything else could have happened than her potentially accidentally falling into the river.
Well, yes, but you see, you look at, it's horrible to get down to these sort of questions, isn't it? But you look at the River Wye, it's hardly sort of fast flowing, or certainly in that particular area. You sort of think somebody, it's a fairly busy area for dog walkers. You would have thought something would have been seen if someone had fallen in.
Yeah, and I think that has been the difficult thing all along, is that they have no evidence. They don't seem to have any eyes on her in that critical period of time. So what on earth happened? There's also, of course, the dog. The dog was found probably like 5-10 minutes after she vanished off the Microsoft Teams call that she was on. She'd not logged off. She just put the phone down, and then in that next 10 minutes she vanished. And the dog was found very quickly. And the dog was, Willow was dry, so had obviously not gone in the river. And then her phone was found quite quickly as well. So what happened in that 10 minutes? A very short period of time in which for somebody to go missing. And obviously, I think the police have been trying to keep spirits up of the people in the Lancashire area as well. They've not wanted to over speculate, understandably. They don't want to upset the family. But the family themselves are probably the ones that they've been, they've been interviewed, and obviously they're desperately clinging on to any hope, and that's absolutely, what any human being would do. But it's so difficult because there are so few answers. They have built up a timeline which the police have shared quite widely, but there is still this missing 10 minutes, and I think until we know exactly what's happened in those 10 minutes, we're just not going to know what's happened to Nicola.
The police went to great lengths yesterday in describing what she was actually wearing at the time, a quilted coat with a gilet over the top of it, a pair of boots. But, I mean, as Stephen has said, and as you have confirmed, the river is not fast flowing or even particularly deep at that point. And she was, as we understand it, a very good and strong swimmer. As we say, these are difficult questions to be asking at this time, but are the police going to be looking further downriver, perhaps if she had fallen in, where she might have been washed and taken much, much further away from the point where the investigation is concentrated at the moment?
Well, the river is actually there are some quite deep sections of the river, and it is very muddy, and it has been quite wet recently. So I think realistically, they have to do that. They have to be checking the river along the way. There is a tidal section. It does move a lot. It can move fairly rapidly underneath. It might look quite still on the surface. But they have been very thorough in that particular area. But as you say, they are having to watch the river network very carefully. There was an incident yesterday where they went to certainly kind of CSI forensics were checking another section of the river, and obviously one thing people assumed that was found, but it wasn't. But I think that's because they are jumping to any clue, anybody spotting anything, so they are rightly having to investigate everything, every potential sighting properly.
I thought that we were told that Willow was found later. We've never heard it mentioned before that Willow was found straight away. I don't understand how come the timings, locations, posters, witnesses keep on changing. Is this on purpose? Now we are aware of that there were more cameras and CCTVs that were not working. So how could they have evidence to say that Nicola fell in the river? Blows my mind.
Finding this all very odd and slightly concerning, because there's, as someone who used to run murder inquiries and now lectures on murder inquiries, there are two golden rules in any case like this. One is to respect the golden hour. The first 24 hours are absolutely crucial to a case like this. Yeah. And the second is to keep an open mind. And to hear the police say that this is a tragic accident, on what we've got in the public domain at the moment, I cannot understand that statement. And at a stroke of a pen, by saying that, they are reducing the publicity. They are clearly upsetting the family, who are now speaking out against them. And they are putting all the eggs in one basket, which professionally I find very odd.
And obviously the family now upset by a lot of conjecture on social...
That they have a CCTV black spot, a place where someone could have gone into that field, and we know that they've got a 10-minute window which they can't account for. Well, you only have to look at the Julia Jones case in Kent a couple of years ago. The lady, the PCSO off-duty, yes, her dog who was attacked. Yeah, that attack less than 1 minute. A 10-minute window, you cannot rule out criminality, you cannot rule out a third party being at that location. And of course, with Sarah Payne, we had 9 different hypotheses as to what happened to that little girl. With Nicola, there's 7 different hypotheses. Only one of them is she fell in the river. So I am very confused by this, and I feel for the family, because you try and keep the publicity up, you try and keep hope up by exploring every angle, every line of inquiry. And what the police need to do now is explain why they've shut 6 out of those 7 nights of inquiry down.
And one feels for the 2 kids involved, of course, still waiting about news for their mum. But just to go back about what we know so far, I was going to ask you whether this 10-minute window is actually a help or a hindrance in terms of trying to work out what happened where, because clearly they've said there's no signs of skid marks or feet or whatever going into the river or even away from that bench, and the phone's still there on the bench as well.
I cannot believe that you've got senior officers saying this is clearly a tragic accident. There is a lot to suggest this could have been an unexpected attack or a kidnap of a lady distracted on her phone and with a dog. And don't forget, the dog was found dry and out of its harness, both of which are unusual if she's fallen in the river. I have dogs. If I fell in the river, my dogs would jump in with me. So this just doesn't ring true. And I'm not sure why they're doing this. The police need to answer this concern, because I'm not the only person, the ex-professional, saying this is very odd. The police need to reassure people and reassure the family, otherwise they're going to lose the family.
And what happens in terms of police forces asking for outside help? I mean, I think I'm right in saying Sussex Police did have some extra help coming in terms of manpower and so on, but just also new lines of thought and inquiry.
So there's 2 things that I'm surprised hasn't happened yet. The first one, and you're right, Mark, mutual aid, as we call it, would always be called in a case like this. Lancashire's not a very big police force, neither was Sussex, neither was Dorset, but I've just left. So mutual aid is quite common in this sort of case. But what they haven't done, which actually is recommended after 9 days, is be reviewed by another force.
I think that was the main issue. The golden hours was just baffling in this case. Because the witness that allegedly saw Nicola, one of them said that she didn't even see Nicola. So where did the police get all these so-called alleged witness from? Did they come up themselves and say that they saw Nicola? Or did they see somebody who looked like Nicola, who had the same description of clothes, same hair color, same height? The first couple of hours went very sour. The police were called in late. The timelines have been changed. The posters say clearly that Nicola was reported missing from a home in Inskip. So when did all this change?
House to house, tracing witnesses, looking at around 700 vehicles that had passed through the village that day, tracing all of those witnesses and trying to get dashcam footage. In addition to that, around half a dozen police divers continue to search the river, but were also aided in that search by a number of partners like Fire and Rescue and the Lancaster Area Search and Rescue team, to whom I'm very grateful. So, to the local community, I would say, please, if you have dashcam footage relating to that journey on Friday the 27th, get in touch. We have a new email inbox, Nicola Bulley investigation at lancashire.police.uk, and all information will be taken seriously and looked into.
I was just going to ask you, when you remain as confident as ever that there is no third-party involvement in this case at all?
I do, Tony, because our investigation has looked at so many potential lines of inquiry, particularly the CCTV bordering that stretch of river. Now, Allotment Lane and Rowan Water Caravan Park have been discounted as areas that Nicola could have used to leave the path. That only leaves us Garthline Lane. Now, of course, we remain fully open to anything that may have happened to her, and any information is being checked out, but at this time, our belief is that this is a missing person inquiry.
However, the police are saying that their hypothesis is that she fell in. The reason they're saying that is it really is like she vanished. There are cameras on the various exits now. There is a camera at the back of where the caravan park is. If it had been on, it would have captured the whole area. So she's vanished. So they're just baffled as to where she could be. I spoke to one of Nicola's close friends earlier. She too believes that it's unlikely that she fell in the water.
The police are working tirelessly, and we're really pleased that they're working so hard and making every effort to try and find Nikki, which is what we all want. They are working on theories though, and it's factual evidence that we really need to try and find some answers to what's happened. Hopefully the SGI team that are here are going to help with that.
So as she said, they're trying to base things on evidence. The problem is there just isn't much evidence. In the meantime, her long-term partner, her 2 daughters, devastated, this whole community affected. As I drove through last night, every lamppost has the missing poster with her face on it.
So the question is, was the cameras behind the caravan park working or not? Because ITV News says it wasn't working. And this is early on in the search, in the beginning. And I believe ITV News, because I found it strange when Superintendent Sally Riley said from the start that the camping site and Rowan Waters was disruled or was not considered. She didn't even explain why. Although Senior Superintendent Rebecca Smith said that the camping site or the camping park areas are ruled out because the owners, the residents or the owners of the property of the residents are being very cooperative, and that's Penny. I don't see any cooperation with Penny, allegedly. We're still trying getting justice for Nicola Bulley, or finding out the truth, hopefully. Family and subscribers, I just wanted to let you all know I opened a new YouTube channel today, and it's called Who to London Psychology and Crime. And the reason I opened it is basically I wanted to have an extra channel where I can spread the awareness, this new channel for missing people, adults, children, and for other awarenesses too. I wanted to keep the other channel more for mental health purposes and talk a bit more about clinical depression, anxiety, how therapy works and such things. So please like, share and subscribe if you all can. That would really help me, because I really want to spread awareness. I'm not here honestly for the clicks and views. Everyone is here for the clicks and views. It'll be wrong to say that I'm actually not here for the clicks and views. I need the clicks and views so I can spread more mental health awareness and more awareness.